things very carefully. Rajeev Dubey runs our business coverage. Welcome, Mr. Gupta. You saw the chairman of the board of directors of ICICI Bank come out and very strongly defend Chanda Kochhar, saying that all the disclosures that need to be made under Banking Act, under the RBI regulations, she's done. They're saying all processes were followed and that this is a malicious campaign against the bank.
Mr. Chairman, I think he is a non-executive chairman, so he has no authority to speak on behalf of the company. One. Whether it is malicious or not, for that you have to go through the papers. If the papers are authentic, if the facts and figures given are irrefutable, then you can not say anything about that. The issue about the disclosures of Chanda Kochhar in the company that belongs to her husband is the crux. I am not questioning whether you have the processes in place in the company or not. The best processes that we have seen in India or in America, even despite that the companies collapse. The best of the banks have collapsed, the CA firms have collapsed, so that doesn't speak anything great about that. Have you been able to establish the confidence of the investors?
No, but Rajeev, look at what Arvind Gupta is alleging. He's saying that Chanda Kochhar and the ICICI Bank gave these loans to a company where her husband had a stake, and in turn, Videocon Enterprises got massive loans from ICICI Bank, more than 3,000 crore rupees, and this was just a small payment on the side. Now, Deepak Kochhar comes from a financial services background. He's highly qualified. He's totally capable of setting up his own firm. The charge that's being leveled is very difficult to prove. What's the evidence?
So he's very capable of doing that. Also, getting into renewables energy was the flavor of the season at that time, so you can't fault him for that. The question here is, does the relationship between the lender and the borrower, and borrower's relationship with the lender's CEO and lender's managing director, that is what is under question here. What is under question is propriety in this case, as well as conflict of interest, and both those questions have not really been answered either by the board or MK Sharma's statement, which he actually read out the handout of the...
This is what they sent us on Tuesday.
Exactly.
He came on camera and read it out.
What they are talking about is that we had no relationship with New Power or Deepak Kochhar's companies directly, but that's not the question being raised. The question being raised is the conflict of interest, propriety, and should there have been a relationship, whether there were adequate disclosures. He's saying I have disclosed as per guidelines. What are those disclosures? Who have they been disclosed to? If you look at the credit committee today's credit committee, it's MK Sharma, it's Chanda Kochhar, and it is Shroff, who's the former IRMA chairman. 2 out of 3 people are executives of the bank. So this is the credit committee as it stands today. Now, who is going to decide from this credit committee, for instance? It's going to be 2 people who, or
So, Meetu, what's the status of investigation into these cases? Mr. Gupta complained to the Prime Minister's office. Complaints were sent off to the CBI, the ED. Have any of those bodies investigated this? Where does the investigation stand?
See, his first complaint was in 2016. He's got an acknowledgement from the Prime Minister's office. In other words, the Prime Minister actually got a copy of that complaint. This copy was also sent to the CBI, to the ED, to the Serious Fraud Office, etc. What came out of it is that all these agencies, my understanding is from speaking to sources in these agencies, they've all conducted a preliminary probe. That probe is over, but they've not filed a formal complaint. So therefore, in Sarkari language, there is no probe that's been conducted. The point is that this is an investigation into banking fraud that is being, driven by the Prime Minister's office. Every move is being looked at very, very closely by the Prime Minister's office. What has the Prime Minister's office done is a question that the Prime Minister has to now answer. The Finance Ministry has to answer, because Chanda Kochhar is a marquee player, like you said. She is like Nirav Modi. She was on all these, big visits of the Prime Minister to various countries on business delegations. If this is a question of impropriety that is being leveled against her, then it's time that the enforcement agencies come out and give a statement that okay, everything is clean.
No,
they should have to give a clean chit.
The charge of impropriety is one thing to level, another to establish. We saw, for example, even in the 2G scam, there seemed to be a paper trail. The question here is that what is it that shows that Chanda Kochhar earned? Now, if her husband runs a business enterprise and that takes a loan from ICICI Bank, that by itself can't be her fault.
I was sharing with Rajeev and I said the fact that Videocon's promoters formed a JV with the Chanda Kochhar's family, 50-50 basis, and then exit from the company. I said it was a special purpose vehicle formed for a specific purpose. You get the money from the bank and you benefit, but the beneficiary of that funding that came to Videocon has been transferred to the person where it should go to.
At a very low amount.
10%, Mr. 10%. And
Yeah,
every
exactly.
time you find that the bank has given the funding about 3,250 crore.
No, but this 10%, so here's what he's saying, that if Videocon Enterprises got a loan of 3,200 crores, 10% of it was invested
It came back
into
to
this.
the new
But that
power
could
via
just be-
Mauritius.
That could be
It
a
could be a
coincidence.
coincidence.
Hang on.
but
What I'm
it's
saying, it has been repeated. Then subsequently they got 660 crore, and of which 66 crore again came back.
So I
and
spoke
went
to
where? Via
one of the
Mauritius.
key personnel in this whole imbroglio, Venugopal Dut. He's the chairman of Videocon Enterprises. I asked him the questions that are being raised right now. Why did he set up a joint venture with Deepak Kochhar, Chanda Kochhar's husband? What does he remember about it? Why did he exit at the rate at which he did? Let's show you some of what Venugopal Dut told me earlier today.
So we don't have any business with him. 10 years back, I invested some small amount, around say 50,000 rupees, etc., in his company share and sold it back to him all. That is the only relation.
How did you enter into a business association with Deepak Kochhar? You're saying at this moment you have no association. 10 years ago you ran a company with him jointly. How did you enter into an association with him when you set up New Power Renewables Private Enterprises in December 2008?
आपको बताया, I did not invest in New Power. Just few thousand rupees I have invested and sell the share back to him. I am not at all involved in New Power.
सर क्योंकि सवाल ये उठ रहा है कि आपने न्यू पावर में जहां पे आप डायरेक्टर थे, अपने जो शेयर्स थे 24,999 शेयर्स दीपक कोचर को ट्रांसफर किए 2.5 लाख रुपए के लिए। आपकी एक कंपनी थी सुप्रीम एनर्जी जिसमें 99% स्टेक आपका था, वो आपने ट्रांसफर किया दीपक कोचर को एक कंपनी में 9 लाख रुपए में। व्हाई वाज दैट सर?
9 लाख रुपए में नहीं किया साहब, मैंने वो 2.5 लाख रुपए में ट्रांसफर किया, जो दिया वो 2.5 लाख रुपए में दिया और उसको 10 साल हो गए करीबन।
Okay, so because the records on the website show that this was transferred to a company called Pinnacle Energy, where Deepak Kochhar was the managing trustee, and the transfer deal was done at a value, Mr. Dut, of 9 lakh rupees.
I don't know on that 10 years back story, and these are very, very small amount. What are you talking on a big story, and this is a very, very small amount.
नहीं, यहाँ पे जो विसल ब्लोअर हैं जिन्होंने प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स ऑफिस को शिकायत की है, उनका कहना है कि चूंकि आपकी कंपनी के खिलाफ इतना सारा डेट है 44,000 करोड़ रुपीस का, आपने चंदा कोचर के हस्बैंड के साथ एक स्वीटहार्ट डील की ताकि आपका जो लोन है वो एवरग्रीन होता रहे, ताकि आपकी कंपनी के जो लोन्स हैं वो एनपीए ना डिक्लेयर किए जाएं। हाउ डू यू रिस्पॉन्ड टू दिस चार्ज मिस्टर दूत?
ये सब गलत है, और कब किया था उन्होंने प्राइम मिनिस्टर उसको, क्या बात?
Venugopal Dut, Rajeev, he says two things. बहुत छोटा amount है, it's not a big deal for him, and it happened 10 years ago. He has no memory of what happened, and he's not in business with Deepak Kochhar any longer. How strong was Venugopal Dut's defense?
Not too much, because you know that the very fact that what is in question is that they had a transaction, that they formed a company
which he doesn't
together,
deny.
Which he doesn't deny. And the other thing is, also remember, you know, this Videocon Industries has been an NPA since last year. So the company's financials are already under question. The company is not able to address any of the, you know, financial, not able to service the debt it has raised, nor is it going to be able to do that.
But where is the evidence, Mr. Gupta, to back the claim that loans were evergreen because the Chanda Kochhar's husband had a sweetheart deal with Videocon Towers, with Videocon Enterprises? Where's the proof for that?
I think it is 90 days time that if you don't pay the interest, you would be declared as NPA. So just because before 90 days, they would get the fund and they will tie over with that and get not clubbed as NPA. So every time you require an oxygen, you get some support.
Okay, so M.K. Sharma, who is the chairman of the ICICI Bank, was supposed to give us an interview by the day. We were confirmed by ICICI Bank that he'd speak to us multiple times. This was confirmed. In the end, it didn't happen. He came out, read a statement, went away. Let me show you a key excerpt of what he had to say.
Some malicious and unfounded rumors that have been circulating in the past few days, casting insinuations on ICICI Bank and its MD and CEO. Similar rumors had first surfaced in mid-2016 and had been appropriately responded to at that stage. Nevertheless, these have been resurfaced in the recent past to malign the reputation of the bank and the MD and its CEO.
Okay, so they're backing the CEO very strongly. Meetu Jain, very quickly, what happens next?
Well, the question is what happens on Monday. We have to see when the markets open and how the markets are going to be reacting. That's going to be one important thing. Also, one has to see now that this entire issue, we can't really call it a scam at the moment because there's been no investigation that's been done. This entire issue is out in the open. One has to see whether the government will be taking any step. The third thing is, will any of the investigative agencies be filing a formal complaint that they have been talking of, because they have all the investigations that's been done. So one has to see what really happens in the coming week.
So this is where I leave it. Rajeev Dubey, Meetu Jain, for your perspective and insight. Arvind Gupta, thank you for joining us. This is a charge that's been leveled. There are some questions which need to be asked, but it's an investigating agency that really needs to sink its teeth into it and then arrive at whether this is malicious or indeed deeply troubling.